What is going on, everybody? It is your man sneaking behind you again, and we are back again for the second time this evening because apparently the first video did not make it to YouTube. It ran a little long, and YouTube backed it out. So we are going to do this again. And oh wow, I'm right up on it. We are going to talk about actually a different topic.
Ready to
Oh,
fire.
whoops. And I screwed that up. We're going to talk about a different topic today. We're going to actually talk about what to expect when you get out of the Marine Corps and the mistakes that me, personally, your man, made. When you get out, before you get out of the Marine Corps, they put you through what is called TAPS and TAMPS, I believe is what it's still called. And basically, they give you information on what to expect when you get out, different resources, how to interact with the VA. I'm pretty sure they still get you lined up and signed up with the VA as far as getting a disability product or package put in to see if you actually are eligible for disability or things like that. And it's, from what I can remember, it was a pretty boring class. Except for a couple points, it was pretty boring. There wasn't really much to say. It was just like pretty much everything else in the Marine Corps, death by PowerPoint. And
Shit, we got company.
I definitely regret not listening to it a little bit more than I probably should have. Pretty much just like, any Marine that is EAS'd, gotten out of the Marine Corps, usually has the same kind of attitude when they're getting out. They are just ready to get out. Their bags are packed, their package dropped, they are out. And pretty much you don't pay attention in the class. You're just ready to get that week over with and get out of there. So, why does this affect you when you get out? There are quite a few resources they share with you during this time that could definitely help you when you're getting out. Now, for example, myself, I gotten out and we still live in California. And for most of the Marines that live in California, the cost of living is extremely high, especially for an E5, which is what I got out as. You go from making all that good money, BAH, all that good stuff, to pretty much nada, unless you got very lucky and got a job. In my case, being a grunt, you're really kind of limited. Okay, I ended up working at Toyota down in San Diego. Some of you know where that is right by Qualcomm Stadium, and that really don't pay that much. It paid some, but it definitely wasn't enough to cover all the bills that I had to cover during that time. A lot of times it ended up being we ended up having to backtrack on bills or whatnot, just to make the rent and whatnot. This was something on my part I did bad. I definitely did not prepare myself.
Okay, here we go.
That Fernando?
Gotta be.
Definitely did not prepare myself enough when I got out of the Marine Corps
So scared.
with savings and things like that to
Fuck 'em.
hold myself over just in case I didn't have a job. I didn't think about this in my head because I was thinking, I'm going to get a job right out, I'm going to be fine. That was definitely not the case. That is point number one. Do not, I say again, do not get out thinking you're going to find a job right off the bat.
What? Those girls?
Unless you have some intel job in the Marine Corps or a maintenance job, something can apply to the outside world, you have your certificates, all that good stuff, there is a pretty good chance, unless you got a hookup somewhere, you are not going to get a job right out of the Marine Corps. So like I said, you are going to go from making all this good money, depending on what rank you are, to nothing. And I'm sorry, but relying on your VA payments to get in is pretty much nada. The VA takes forever. I mean, my actual process when I went in when I actually went into the VA, filled out all my stuff, because I waited because I was stupid. I waited. It took me over 2 years to actually get my disability compensation actually coming in every month, like it normally, like everybody else's does. It was a big shock when you realize that, because you're spoiled in the military. In the military in general, you get that steady paycheck every 2 weeks. You generally know what's going to be unless you got some special, duty or whatever.
They could pay us back later.
And most places that you are renting from, or even buying from for that matter, know how much, know you're going to get a steady paycheck, so they have no problem renting to you. But when you get out, you are basically left in the wind.
Enemy mark.
You are basically give a pat on the butt. Adios, dude. See ya. Unless you're retiring, medical, med sep, whatever it may be, you are on your own. And I knew that was gonna. I knew you were on your own. I mean, that was not a big surprise. What was a big surprise when you get out is you. I mean, like I said, you go from making all that money to nothing, pretty much, and it can be a big shock to some people, especially when you get used to making all that really good money. To afford the new car and all the new things, the new toys, TV, all that stuff, to basically having to scrape together money to get your pay, get your rent paid. And it happens. It happened to me. It happens to probably other Marines. Number 2, point 2, definitely an important one. Do not incur a lot of debt before you get out of the Marine Corps. Do not do that. That is by far the stupidest mistake you could possibly do, because it just rolls into everything else. If you incur a lot of debt, credit card debt, a new car, any of that crap, you are going to pay for it. You are going to end up. There's a guy right there. You are going to. Just because you got out of the Marine Corps, bills ain't going to stop. They're not going to stop. The bill payers are still going to expect you to pay your bills, and if you don't pay them, they are gonna, take what they, take what they get from you, or they're gonna hit you in other ways, credit score, stuff like that, and that will definitely play a factor later on in life when you try to get a house, things like that. I say I because generally it was all me. I incurred quite a bit of debt. I believe I had a new car at the time. I can't remember exactly. I had a new car, motorcycle, things like that.
Sniper at the gateway.
I was definitely, rolling that E5 paycheck with VA, so I had a lot of money. I had plenty. But all of I let the bills, I was thinking, I have all this money, I can incur these things. That was definitely not the case. Definitely bad budgeting and irresponsible budgeting on my part, considering what it was. When I got out, that definitely made an effect on me, because I went from making all that money to nothing, and I'm sitting there going, okay, how the heck are my bills going to be paid now? And it got to a point where we ended up having to do some things to clear off, and I'm sure y'all know what I'm talking about, to basically clear our debt and start over. And it's not exactly the proudest moment of my life, and I'm sure other people do it. And even the people we talked to said everybody, it's not an uncommon thing to do now, apparently. But that is something that, as a Marine, you don't want to admit. And it's hard for a Marine to admit when they need help. I'm pretty much speaking for every single Marine out there. It's hard to admit to a civilian that you need help. Now this one, number 3, kind of get off that subject, off the financial subject a little bit. Number 3, and I tell this to people that ask. I've had people at where I work now have come up and asked me because they've had kids that are getting ready to go in, the respective branches. Sometimes the Marines, because they come directly to me because they know I served quite a bit, so I got that experience. A lot of these people have asked me,
That makes 5.
what job
Hang back.
do you think is a good, a good idea? And I will tell you right now, I was happy in my service. I did my 9 years and change as an 0311. Had best time, had made the best friends. Still talk to most of them this day. One of them you guys will probably hear when we play. Eventually, when I get them on here, and we'll play some Ghost Recon together. Wouldn't give it up for the world. However, they don't tell you as a grunt, as a little ground pounder, Mr. Ground Pounder out there doing work, that unless you have your degree or you took your time outside of work, outside the Marine Corps to get yourself certifications, anything like that, you are going to get out and you are going to basically either have to be a police officer, security guard, or something in that realm. That is how it's going to be. Generally, that is a job that they're going to hire you right away. It's going to be low pay. You're probably not going to get that much, especially living in California. You are not going to make that much money. So you're probably, hopefully you're single and you got all your debt covered. You ain't got a brand new, Mustang with 20% interest and stuff like that, So you're not, just trying to stretch yourself, working 3 or 4 jobs, just trying to make ends meet, basically. It was definitely. Oh, that was a twofer.
Okay, we're still alright.
I tell people that I talk to, right now, in the world we live in the country, the state of political, state of the different conflicts that we have going on right now, unless your kid really, really wants to be a grunt, and I mean really, you gotta really want it now, especially since there isn't really a active war going on per se. Go do a different job. Do not, I say again, do not go be a grunt and think you're going to get an awesome job right out the bat.
See your second target.
Honestly, I'm very happy, but one thing I would have done differently is I would have gotten state of grunt. I wouldn't have changed that for the world. That was the best time I ever had. But I would have taken my time, especially when I was a single Marine, before I got married, and gone and got my welder certificate or, something of that nature to better myself, basically. Because, yeah, they're going to have you do MCIs and all that stuff, get promoted and whatnot. But those ain't going to do crap for you. Unless, the only thing those did good for me is when I got out and I started going to college. Those actually got me quite a few credits, and I was quite happy with that.
Spotted one with submachine guns.
Poke the hornet's nest.
And they're good. They're required. So do them, please do them, or you'll end up getting lit up quite a bit by your command. Please do them. But do something to better yourself, especially if you know you're going to get out. Unless you want to be, even if you're going to stay in for 20 years, do your 20 years and retire. Retirement pay when you get out, you're still going to want to do something. You're still going to, you're making money, but you're still going to want to do something.
Fucker never shows his face unless he's got a shipment to make, or if there's some kind of
That's the end story. Make sure you are prepared when you get out of the military, Marine Corps, Army, otherwise. Make sure you know what you're doing. You have a plan before you go in. That's important. Don't do what I did and struggle for almost a little over 3 years before you find an actual good job with a good company and be able to actually provide for yourself and your family. It's a tough one when you got a civil world. People will tell you that it's tough, and they're not lying. When you get on civil, you are on your own. Unless you get an amazing job, you are gonna have tough times. It's gonna happen. It will happen. And we're gonna talk about it more as we go on through this series, but just to kind of get you all kind of prepped for what's gonna be coming. We're gonna do a lot more talking about the Marine Corps. Talk about a few other little political issues, different things like that throughout the series, and we'll just keep on rolling. We'll change the games up a little bit as we go. We will be doing the Narco Road DLC here in a little bit. Probably in the next few days, I'll get some gameplay for that. But otherwise, this is Sneaking Behind You, out.